Let's do a question here from Boom Boom Room 131. He wants to know, John, why do you think we haven't seen any more cinematic matches? It seemed the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match were both successful during that COVID WrestleMania. As a retired wrestler, would a cinematic match interest you in any way to have some sort of a return match?
Oh, hell yeah, because you can dress up so much with a cinematic match. Now, I would have a hard time with the stop and go. The hard part about cinematic matches, and I called the commentary for WrestleMania when they had no crowd. Vince asked me to come down. He wanted an old voice on camera. And I remember they were doing a ladder match. They called stop one time and redid a spot off the ladder. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. When you do it, when you're like flowing in a match and you're sweating and you go up to the top of something, you take a big bump off or something, it hurts. You really feel it. You feel it later, but you're part of the action. When you got to climb back up and go, okay, now I'm going to do this just as a stunt, that hurts. And so that would be one of the problems that I would have was the stop and go. But yeah, I'd love to do it. Some cinematic matches are fun. I don't know why they don't do them anymore. I think it's because they're hard and they take a lot of time. A lot of times we do these cinematic matches and we would do stuff where we do shoots off site or something. And we'd be out there almost all night. We shot a commercial one time, a baseball commercial. We were there from, I think, 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning filming this commercial to get the nighttime scene in because we needed the park. We had to do it after they were done using it for baseball or whatever they're using it for. And they're hard and they take a long time. I think that may be the reason. But I love the cinematic matches.
We got another fun one here. Gareth wants to know, if you were booking two guys to portray the APA in the 80s to early 90s and the 2010s to today, who would you pick and why? So if we're going to take a look back, John, and we're going to think about the 80s and 90s, let's try to find a group that aren't necessarily already a tag team,
Ooh.
but maybe were two guys who could have played the roles, but just didn't really have the opportunity. So if we were to put the APA gimmick on two big badasses, the 80s version of yourself and Ron, does anybody stand out?
I can tell you the 90s version. I just thought about this. I can tell you the 90s version that I would love to see, and I think this would be entertaining, is Booker T and Scott Steiner.
Okay.
I would love to see those two guys together in a tag team. They both can talk. They're both entertaining as they can be. They're both, double tough dudes. I think that would be, my God, man, that would be freaking entertaining. As far as the 80s, you got to go Stan. I mean, Stan is, he would be perfect. Not just because, I look up to Stan so much and really respect him. Stan would be perfect. Stan's one of the most entertaining guys there is. That promo he cuts where you young kids roll around chasing women in their short little breeches. I got a fat, ugly wife and 4 kids to feed. Stan's the greatest out there. I think Stan and Brody would be great APA. Put them in a backstage skit. I know they're a tag team, but put them in a backstage skit and put them around a table and let them be funny. I think that Brody was never the funny guy. I think Brody could have been a really funny, straight guy along with Stan. I think they could have done some great stuff together.
Your idea about Scott Steiner and Booker T, no doubt I see the parallels in that you and Ron were both had a lot of success as tag team wrestlers and then as singles champions. But I might actually go the absolute inverse. I think Stevie Ray was criminally underrated and super funny. And Stevie Ray and Rick Steiner, just the absolute opposite of what you suggested. Because everybody knows Rick Steiner can tie your ass in a knot. He's un-F-withable. But then I think Stevie Ray adds all the personality. I don't know. That to me, especially if you go back to early Rick Steiner where he was playing like he wasn't so sure about what was going on and he was kind of aloof or whatever, that could lend itself to some fun comedy stuff, I think.
I agree. Smart guys always play the dumb guys because it's hard to play them. And Rick is the typical of that. Rick and Stevie. I love Stevie. I think Stevie's great. I think Stevie's a smart guy, and Stevie can freaking talk. I think Stevie would be great in that role. I agree completely. There are a lot of guys out there that would have been a lot of fun, especially if you put them in. Me and Ron got lucky. We were just kind of mute guys as the freaking Hell's Henchmen. Acolytes, whatever the hell we were. And we got lucky, then all of a sudden Vince said, hey, guys, just go out there and be entertaining. We would go out there for weeks and just do backstage skits. Didn't even have to wrestle. We'd wrestle, obviously, on the road and the house shows. It was awesome. Some of these guys like that, if they had the same opportunity, they'd have been just as good as we were.
Think about early Rick Steiner, where he was drawing like a little mouth on his hand and making it like a hand puppet. If he was doing that with, should we kick their ass? And all that sort of silliness with the APA. But you have all the personality of Stevie Ray, who was calling people fruit booties on commentary and things like that in WCW.
That's an old Texas saying.
I could see Vince getting into that gimmick in a big way with Rick Steiner and Stevie Ray. And by the way, how does Stevie Ray how is he in better shape now than he was back then? He looks better than ever right now.
I don't know how old Stevie is, but he looks amazing. I saw him the other day at some deal, and God almighty, he looks good. I mean, he looks fantastic. That's a big man. And he looks as good now as he's ever looked. I looked at Ron today. They look like he's got 23-inch arms. I don't know what the hell. These guys are like Jonathan Winters and Mork and Mindy. They're aging backwards like Billy Gunn and freaking Al Snow. I mean, I hate these guys because they make me look so freaking old and decrepit. So, the only time I got in the ring with the Steiners, we're at a battle royal somewhere. I can't remember where it was. I think it was on the hunting trip we did when Jeff Foxworthy was down there and they, put the dead buck in his bed. And I think that's what it was. And the Steiners got me in a freaking battle royal. They both jumped me and tied me up. I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, if I can get a hand free, I'll whoop both your asses. I will whoop both your asses if you'll just let me up. They're like, I couldn't do anything.
Tell me about the modern era. Let's talk about maybe 2010 and now, the last 15 years. Are there two guys who could pick up where the APA left off if we put them together? Like they have enough credibility as big badass guys, but they could also lean in and do some comedy stuff. Does anybody come to mind?
Yeah, I've always thought Shelton Benjamin, him and Charlie, and I know you're talking more than modern era. Shelton's still out there. So is Charlie. Actually looks great right now. Coaching a high school team that Mr. Briscoe hooked him up with the job, doing a wonderful job. Charlie's doing a wonderful job down in Florida. Good guy. Always thought Sheldon would be perfect in that role. Man, he used to do a Slim Whitman impersonation of me where he'd walk pigeon-toed and he'd wear my hat and he'd do the romping and a stomping, a whooping and a womping, whooping every man and child in an inch of their life. He'd do all this shit making fun of me. It was so freaking funny. I'm one of the biggest Sheldon Benjamin fans in the world. I think Sheldon would be good. I think Bobby can do anything as well. I think Bobby could be the ultimate straight guy and stuff like that. Bobby's a very smart guy, obviously. And I think Bobby would be a great one half of that. Obviously we're kind of trying to pick, matching, black and white tag team. So I got to figure out who the white guy would be in it. I'm not sure.
It's interesting to think about though, because when you're thinking about who has credibility, but also could do more of the funny ha-ha stuff, that makes it more complicated. I know it's not exactly 2010 to now, but a guy like Hardcore Holly, I feels like could have checked that box.
Yeah, and Bob's entertaining.
Yes.
Bob's entertaining. Another guy, and I just talked to him on the phone a couple of days ago, was Steve Blackman. Blackman was very entertaining. Blackman, I think, could have done that. Blackman's a very funny guy, has a great sense of humor. I think Bob or Steve could have been very good at that. He playing that role of being also, the tough guy. You take him out of that environment and put him in something else.
All right, real quick, I want to remind everybody, especially this time of year, did you know at SaveWithConrad.com you can skip your next 2 house payments? That's right. You'll get a cheaper monthly payment and no payments until next year. How about a little Christmas vacation from house payments? That's right. No payments in November or December at SaveWithConrad.com.